Hi, today is December 20th and I still have a small problem. I am still missing one last Christmas present, but I'm leaving tomorrow to visit my family. I had a look around my shop and the only thing I could find was those two old scraps of hardwood and a sheet of plywood. So let's figure out what to make from that. Even though those pieces are in a pretty bad shape, they also have a great grain structure. So my plan is to chop those up into equally sized chunks and cut around those imperfections and then see where to go from there. Now that's a nice surprise. They got a really beautiful pattern to them. I'm thinking of cutting them really thin, kind of like veneer, and then gluing them onto this board to make some sort of serving tray. So the next step would be the bandsaw. So, if my calculations were correct, I should have enough slices to completely fill out this board. I'm gonna go for a herringbone design, because it's pretty easy to make and it looks great. And I'm using a 5-minute glue, so I don't have to worry about weighting it down or pressing it, because this is not gonna see any pressure or any force at all, so it should be fine. That should be enough for weight. It is now an hour later and this turned out pretty nice. Now what you should do is take a router with a flush cut bit and trim all around the edges to clean this up nicely. But I, on the other hand, broke mine. So I'm gonna have to take a different approach using the table saw that might be considered somewhat sketchy. So here is the setup. I got one piece of plywood clamped down to the table saw as a fence, and the board underneath my veneer can ride against that. I'm only going to use this for one cut, and that is to straighten up one edge. Once I got that straight edge, I can use it to square up the entire board. So now I got a nice square board with a great top, but the sides are still exposed. So what I'm going to do is take some other scraps of hardwood and cut some trim for this. I'm not entirely sure what species this is, since it's just some firewood I found, but I'm going to use oak for the trim to give it a nice contrast. So, apparently the entire top of the glue bottle came off and I spilled glue everywhere, but I think it worked out fine and it's just going to be more sanding, so no big deal. Okay, it is now an hour later and the glue is mostly dry, which means it's time for everybody's favorite activity, sanding. So here we are after sanding. I went all the way up to 240 grit, but I didn't want to bore you with the footage because it's pretty repetitive. You could have obviously done the bottom side as well using this process, but I just didn't have the time today. Now all that's left to complete this project is to apply some finish and watch that grain pop.